Hello and welcome back to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world for Celtic fans all over this great big world. From Auchinleck to Liechtenstein, Kilmarnock to California, wherever you happen to be watching from, you're very much part of A Celtic World. And what two exciting tropical destinations do we have for us today? We've got from far away Sydney, Steve. Hello, Steve. Oh dear, we have connections with Sydney. We've got a delay from Sydney, so let's go over to Banbridge. Sunny Banbridge. How are things in Banbridge?
Cold, very cold. I was going to try and just wear a t-shirt today, and I just couldn't. I was shivering. So I just stick the old comedy cardigan on and hit the road. I'm actually wearing a coat now indoors. It's like do you ever see the a padded coat? I got this wee crappy coat out of Primark, but it's so cozy, and I'm walking around like, oh dear.
And you're keeping your shoes on as well. That's one thing I've got used to. Is like taking your shoes off when you get into the house in the tropics. Then you go back home and everyone's clumping about in their DMs.
I know,
all over the carpet.
when I'm at home, I will always walk about barefoot. Let the feet breathing in the garden and stuff, but yeah, it's extremely cold. It's one of them ones that it was 4 degrees, but it says feels like -4. But there we go.
Well, hello to everyone in the chat. Hope wherever you all are, it's a pleasant day.
G-Doc.
As Craig says, morning, afternoon, good evening, or Happy New Year, wherever you are. We still saying Happy New Year, but I mean, I don't want to curb your enthusiasm too much, but
no, it's gone.
I mean, the time's passed, hasn't it, for that?
That's long past. It's January's always a long month after Christmas and payday and stuff like that. So it's sitting in my socks. There we go. Doing a Winston with 6 heaters around him, is he?
I don't know what happened, Stephen, there, but hopefully he'll be back to join us. But sure, we'll just soldier on in his absence. Oh, as soon as I mentioned that. Let's see how long it takes for Stephen to respond.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you. I think you're a wee bit delayed there.
Sorry, I just had I'm having some internet difficulties. Just let me know. Sorry, I missed the first few seconds there. So, hi Gav, hi Brian. Thanks for being patient with my hideous internet issues. But well, let's crack on.
Third world country, that Australia. That's the problem. All right, so what are we here to talk about? Well, here is the thumbnail. No phenomenal panache, which is phenomenal panache is the term that Martin used about the game. We didn't win with any phenomenal panache. That is certainly an understatement. And there's the 2 goal scorers. Kenny looking relieved as anything to finally score a goal in the game of football. And in front of the Green Brigade there, making their feelings clear. Any initial comments on that thumbnail, Stephen?
Yeah, seem to sum things up pretty well there. The game was instantly forgettable, and I think the more interesting part of it was the issues all surrounding the game. And I'm sure we'll get into that. We'll get into that as the show progresses. But you've got the Green Brigade there. You've got all the chanting that was quite audible from the crowd, even when Celtic scored. And you've got the 2 goal scorers there, one of whom is the guy who misses more sitters than any other striker I've ever seen in my life, Johnny Kenny. And then Turekti, who probably was the man of the match for me, despite only having played about a third of it. So that maybe sums up what I thought about the game.
All right. Well, Brian, I know you're a man of real intellectual thirst and great desire for geographical knowledge. So I thought we might have a wee look at Auchinleck, you don't mind. This is what it looks like. This is their ground. Of course, it wasn't played there. It was played at Kilmarnock. But this is just courtesy of Google Maps. And then if you spin round, you'll get a flavour of life in Auchinleck. That's what's going on there. A guy up his ladder. The ladder being held by the missus. Someone crossing the street. Have you ever ventured to Auchinleck, Stephen? It's not desperately far away from where you are, is it? Oh no, I suppose it's a fair distance.
No, it's in Ayrshire. It's in Ayrshire, the same as where I'm from. It's an area synonymous with coal mining. So Auchinleck and the local town of Cumnock, which is only a few miles down the road, were the main sort of towns that grew up around the South Ayrshire coal mining industry. It gained a bit of prominence during the miners' strike in the 1980s. And the town, both Auchinleck and Cumnock, have basically died a death, really, since mining did as well. So it's a typical little Ayrshire village, really. And sort of their football team's probably the most famous thing about it now. They're very, very big in the junior system, and they always have been. They've won the Scottish Junior Cup, I think, more times than any other team, and they've got a big support that would be probably bigger than most League Two and maybe League One teams as well. And the local rivalry with the aforementioned Cumnock is a big deal for them. And there is usually big crowds attend those games, and there's generally a bit of trouble at them as well, would you believe? But yeah, I've known a few people through the years who've played in Ayrshire juniors, and have played down there either for Auchinleck or against them, and it's quite a wild wee place, and as people say there, it's pretty bleak now since the mines all closed down.
Okay, well, let's keep it light and entertaining, not worry about bleak places, post-industrial depression. And let's talk about our exciting team, Brian. How excited were you when you saw this lineup? Talk us through it.
I was excited when I thought the game was kicking off at 2:30, and then I realised it was kicking off at 5:30, and I was like, I need to wait another 3 hours. Next... I know Martin obviously wanted to have a look at a few players, and he said about, he's going to have a look at Balikwisha and see what he can do, but the game is very important, and that's why he keeps the captain in there, but not what you call the most inspirational, bench, there wasn't too many things on the bench, like, really. It sums up our sort of squad at the minute, that it was like a pre-season game. It's like something like a team you'd see away to Finn Harps or something like that. So great. This
is one of those games and sort of events where I'm quite glad to be so far away, because the chances of me getting up to watch it were so slim. I just didn't bother. It was middle of the night. Yeah. And it's a very different experience, when you see the score, you watch the highlights knowing the score and all that. But if you knew all was well, like I'm watching the game thinking, he stuck out a B team, total B team, and they were never that much of a risk. And we won by a couple of goals and up the road, in the hat for the next round. What's the problem? Is the attitude you can have when you watched it the way I did, Stephen. But if you're sitting through it, watching the whole game, and we're still only 1-0 up with 75 minutes to go against the guy who was up the ladder, and maybe his missus who was steadying it, that's a different story, right?
Yeah, and I did get up and watch it. It was a 4:30 a.m. kickoff here in Sydney, and it was a grim experience, I can tell you. When you saw the team lineup was probably the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes, and I just shuddered at the prospect of what we were about to see. When you look at a back four of Ralston, Welsh,
Murray.
Who's the big centre half? Sorry, his name escapes. Murray.
Donovan
Donovan on the other side. So no left backs at all. two right backs. One of them's going to have to play on the wrong side. And you've got Stephen Welsh, who I've no idea why he's playing at all, because that sort of cup ties him to play for any other team in Scotland except for Motherwell. So the only option, if we want to move him on in any way, is to go back to Motherwell, and he'll be cup tied for them as well. So I don't see that happening now. So we've not only are we ruining our own season, we're ruining Stephen Welsh's season as well, because Motherwell probably won't want to take him back if he can't play in the cup. And Dane Murray there as well, who's not covered himself in glory. And I know you say, Gav, it was an out-and-out B team, but what worried me the most was a number of players there who you wouldn't be surprised if they started in the first 11 for Celtic. And you had guys there like Ballyquisha, who we paid £5 million for. You've got guys here like Anthony Ralston, who's played. He's pretty much been, more or less an ever present this season, and he's barely been out the team at all. And then you've got Johnny Kenny, who's your first choice striker. That's the sad fact of the matter at the moment. Johnny Kenny's your first choice striker. So the only thing that really sort of surprised me is this notion that seems to have grown arms and legs, that Luke McCowan is a winger, and it first got introduced under Wilfred Nancy, and everybody just thought it was just part of his whole madness that Luke McCowan was playing the wing, but it seems to have infected Martin O'Neill as well, because he was playing on the wing again like yesterday, and for the love of me, I just can't see how anybody could think Luke McCowan's going to make a good winger, because he doesn't have any of the attributes a winger needs. He's not quick. He doesn't have a change of pace. He doesn't have a dribble. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So that surprised me. But all in all, what followed the team selection was just as bad as I expected it to be.
Well, let's start on a positive note with this as well. As you mentioned there, Anthony Ralston, congratulations on his 150th appearance for Celtic. They'll never take that away from him, Brian.
How long's he been at the club? He's about 7 years, 8 years. He's been there since first dawn of Martin, or Brendan, sorry.
Yeah.
So when did Brendan? That
For
was
a
about
while.
2010, was it? No, 2014 did Brendan come? Sorry.
Yeah, I reckon.
Anyway, he's got 150 appearances.
I read the other day that he's actually due a testimonial next year.
Uh-huh.
So it'll be 10 years next year. He's at 9 years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we're not going to spend forever on the game, but I do have a few stills, just taken from the highlights, so they're not great quality. But we'll just go through them. 5 minutes. Here's a ball getting lifted to the back post, and I think Tonekti, is it Tonekti who nods it down to Kenny?
No,
Great opportunity. Was it Tonekti? No.
Well, he came on as a sub in the second half.
Tonekti
Okay,
was
so-
a sub.
All right. So who's that nodding it on?
Is that
on the right
McCann?
wing?
I think it's McCowan, because McCowan
Okay.
was played on the right-hand side.
All right. And Johnny Kenny does a Johnny Kenny and blasts it straight at the keeper. I mean, what can we say about him that hasn't been said already, Stephen? His chance to conversion ratio is insane.
Yeah. Look, you're right. There's nothing more we can add to Johnny Kenny. He just shouldn't be there. I do feel a bit sorry for him, because it's not his fault. He's not good enough. He's not asking. He's not demanding to be picked. And I think if you asked him directly, he would probably tell you he's really surprised to be in the Celtic team at this point in his career. I'm sure he expected to be back out on loan this year, and it's just by virtue of our complete incompetence in the transfer market that he's ended up as our number one striker. So I feel a bit sorry for him. He's just dreadful. He's got no finish at all, and that was a great example of what to expect from him.
Although it was called offside, which I was a bit surprised by. I mean, I think, did they show the lines on this? Was it this moment? They're claiming that
No,
whoever that is offside?
no,
They
he
call
got one disallowed for offside in the second half. So I'm not sure this one get called offside.
But definitely the flag went up.
Okay, unless it was offside when he headed it back across goal. Maybe Kenny was in front of the goal.
But look there.
No, he's
That's
not.
definitely not
Yeah.
offside.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there then.
I thought you'd be up in arms, Stephen, raging. We was
I was
robbed.
half asleep, I think.
Because like a goal on 5 minutes would have been very welcome, you know, in a game like this. Anyway, 23 minutes, Brian. McCowan releases Ralston, I've said here. And then he puts the ball across. And this was Balikwisha's moment.
Balikwisha, I mean,
Yeah.
That goes into a different game, and maybe the kid that gets a bit of confidence, but just proves why Paul Tisdale got the boot. I mean, signing him in a 5-year deal, as he said, you know, you couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo. I mean, that was like, why would you think to go with pace on that? Just place it, you know. But that's where we are, unfortunately. And I was looking at my notes, what I would do to have Lewis Palmer back. I'd never say the day, like.
Well, you might well get your wish the way things are going. But Balikwisha, you know, you hear people saying, Martin O'Neill was saying he's never a winger. Well, what we bought him as far as I know. But yeah, apparently he was hopeless in the game. That was like the only thing he did, and he didn't do it
He went into
successfully.
hiding. When he missed that, he just went into hiding. And fair play, Martin kept him on, trying to help his confidence, but no, I don't know what's going on there.
He's there's something not right there. There's something really off with that transfer, because there's no way he's as bad as what he looks. I mean, he genuinely looks as if he's won a competition to play for Celtic. He just looks completely bereft of ability, completely bereft of skill. And this notion that Martin's peddling now, that he's playing out of position, he's not a winger, he's actually a 10. He's played like 3/4 of his career on the wing, and he's played very few games as a 10, so that's not true. He's playing exactly the position that he normally plays, or he was, probably moving him in through the middle. Yesterday was probably Martin just trying to see if he could get a tune out of him there, but he just looks awful. And he's just bringing nothing to the team at the moment, and I don't even know whether he would even have him on the bench at the moment, because whether it's confidence or whether there's something going on in his personal life, or whether he's just not settling. There was some chat that he's really worried about getting injured. He had a serious injury, I think about a year ago, and it's really got in his head or something like that. But just doesn't smell right, this transfer, because we paid £5 million for him. I know our recruitment is shambolic, but when we signed him, you know, he was quite highly rated in Holland. I mean, he wasn't the best player in the league or anything, but he was highly rated, and he's just so bad that it doesn't smell right to me.
That's a good point of Mahesh. You know, Palma, I kind of agree. Palma's a little bit on the underrated side, and he's not the answer to our prayers, but I'd rather have him turning out for us than Balikwisha in that position, because, you know, he's got a goal in him, and he can do things. He's frustrating as hell, of course.
But the game we played, was it? I can't remember. We were away in Europe and we got a draw, and I remember him chasing back Palma on the left wing. He came on for the last 20 minutes of the game, and he really showed what he could do. But at the minute, I mean, I'm thinking, can Gustavo or whatever, Thiago Home, can he play up front? You know, that's where we are. I would stick Dane Murray up front, and just hoof it, No, they were dancing around yesterday and trying to walk the ball into the net. I despise that, and it just shows you that Tenetki scored from just hitting the ball a good boot. You know what I mean? There's nobody trying to test that keeper. We're just trying to walk the ball in. It was embarrassing for the fans.
Well, speaking of testing keepers and moments of embarrassment, the much praised Sinisalo played in this game, and I don't know what sort of a game he had, but the only time he features in the highlights is coming out to punch a ball, and he makes an absolute, howler of it. And then there's like a moment of panic at the back stick where they might have
Yeah.
got a goal. Stephen, was your heart in your mouth at this moment?
It was, yeah, and he did have a howler, and I think we're starting to see why he hasn't played as many games as perhaps people would have liked to see. Because again, it was a very, very shaky performance from him. The only contribution he had to the game was that one where he's flapped at the cross, and it could have gone anywhere, really. It could have even have ended up in his own net. And then a couple of times in the second half where they pressed us high up the pitch, and he kicked the ball straight out. And then started shouting at everybody else. So I just don't see it with Sinisalo. I'm starting to wonder whether a new goalkeeper is something we have to add to our ever-growing list of what we need in this transfer window. Probably won't get it, regardless of what we want. But I think he's not doing himself any favours, and he certainly didn't do himself any favours yesterday.
No, that's another worry, but at least we've addressed one thing. Kenny's back in the goals, Brian.
Yeah, great. Was it McCown cross? And then it put me in mind of a goal Sutton would have scored back in the day. I know I keep looking back, but getting to the line and then him being in the right place, the right time. Glad that he scored, and again, I feel for the kid. He should be on loan or somebody like that, or Scott Brown or at Dunfermline learning his trade, but he's playing up front for Celtic. But he scored the goal, took it well, fair play to him, and it was almost relief on his part when you saw the celebrations. But if I'm a squad player and I've Martinoneill given me 90 minutes or 45 minutes to try and get it, cement a place in the team. There was not one player in that team yesterday, Bartonecki, who looked as if they wanted they were up for the fight. I saw Colby Donovan was quite ropey with a few challenges, and another day he could have been sent off. And your big man Dane Murray didn't do much either. So if you're having an opportunity, okay, you can make all the excuses. It's on the plastic pitch, blah blah blah. Not one of them. And I put Jamesy in there as well. Like Jamesy was very economical with the ball and all the rest of it, but it was. When you look at the fans, that must have taken the fans for granted. The players are, nobody was trying to get the game at the scruff of the neck and right, let's go here, because we knew they were going to go in with a low block, and it was on a minging pitch and 20 to with a 5:30 kickoff. But nobody there. Bernardo did zip, Balikwisha did less than, Shin. Next. Christ the night, I'll just stick my wellies on and have a go. But who's this?
Well, look, let's move through the game then. We're into the second half, and then we get a free kick just down near the byline there. Cross comes in and Kenny gets the header. Fortunately, this doesn't go in, hits the crossbar. But it was a good opportunity, I think. 62 minutes, this is Ralston's pass. This one was called offside as well, and they definitely showed the lines here.
I thought he was unlucky with that on another day. He took the goal really well. He exercised the play or the move very well, but it was offside. But
got to say, when I was watching this and saving the pictures, I was thinking, this is going to be a big controversy, but ultimately, I think he was just a shade offside, unfortunately. But it was a fantastically taken goal. I mean, this was...
Yeah, tight angle.
If this was a goal, would we be starting to forgive ourselves, Stephen, for thinking maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that Kenny can be in among the goals for us for the rest of the season? Can't even say it without laughing.
Put the context, but you let him put the context in. You're playing against Auchinleck Talbot. You know what I mean? It was a tidy finish, and he did make a run, but I don't think it was offside. I didn't say that. I think this line drawing is just a nonsense, and it's just down to where the operator wants to draw the lines. I don't think there's any way that should be flagged offside. I think the guys, there's probably two. There's at least one player playing him onside there. And the system is so manual that it just can't be relied on. So that
This guy here has more of a chance of playing him on, I think. I think he's slightly ahead of this guy. He's definitely ahead of this guy.
That's the guy that's the guy that plays him on, and I've yet to see. I could be wrong here. Maybe someone in the chat will correct me here. But have we ever came on out on the right side of one of these sort of scenarios where the lines have been drawn? Because every time I see these lines appearing, it always just seems to be for offside against Celtic, and I've never ever seen us getting a goal awarded when maybe if we've been wrongly flagged offside and the lines are drawn on our own side. It always seems to be to find that our player was offside. So I think he was onside, and I think the system's just a load of shite, to be honest.
Yeah,
looks a bit different from here, though. It looks like these are the only two players in the equation, especially this guy. But it's just hard to tell, isn't it? I mean, look, if I try and follow these plastic pitch lines. Anyway.
But look at this. Look at the guy at the front of the bottom of the picture there.
Yeah.
But he's definitely he's behind like that line.
Yeah,
it's misleading.
It depends the angle you're looking at. I don't think we've got the technology. We don't have enough cameras there to make a definitive decision in that. And it was always supposed to be benefit of the doubt to the attacker. So onside every day for me, and he was unlucky. As you say, it was a tidy finish. But even he could have scored another 3 like that yesterday, and I would still be saying, nah, not for me. He's not good enough to be striker for Celtic.
All right. 75 minutes now. The kind of unlikely coupling of Liam Scales clipping it over to Ralston, Brian. And then he comes in with a header and just gets too much on it, doesn't he?
That should have really went in. I mean, he was annoyed at himself after that. He hit it slightly to the left. Again, another day that goes in, it's a different story. But the thing, under Martin, under Wilfred Nancy would have probably lost that game with the first 11 on the pitch. And I don't want to be going around talking about those 33 days in charge, but with a full strength Celtic 11, I think he would have lost that game, or certainly, with an own goal or shot a corner and Schmeichel fired it into his own net. But we're in the draw for the cup. I don't know why the SFA or whoever's organising the Scottish Cup thought it'd be a great idea to have a match on a televised match on a plastic pitch at 5:30, on a Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, let's finish off the game. There's really not many more incidents left here. McCoy and Negron who turns and hits it. And it goes straight to the goalkeeper, Stephen. Don't have too much to say about that, I suppose. 80 minutes. This moment led to a bit of a Kenny scramble. The ball sort of pops around. Donovan has a shot on 81 minutes, which just trundles wide. Jump in if you have anything to say about any of these.
Donovan. I thought Donovan was atrocious, to be honest with you. In a team of atrocious performances, he was a bit of a standout, I thought, and I know he was playing on the wrong side, but he had a couple of efforts on goal, and that was one of them there, which he really has to score there. You can see his position. He gets a clear shot and goal from that angle, and he puts it past the post. And there was another one earlier on like that. So I think Donovan is a guy who, he's still young. He might become a player at some point in his career, but at the moment, he's another one that shouldn't be anywhere near the Celtic first team. And again, it's a factor of how shit a recruitment's been that he's even involved at all.
Well, then the moment of the game, of course, Tenecti picks the ball up, cuts inside, has a fair bit of space there, just right on the corner of the box. Brian, and hits an absolute beauty.
Absolute worldly. And the game had been crying out for that. We were trying to walk the ball into the net. But fair play to him, he took the bull by the horns and all the rest of it, and scored an absolute cracking goal. And hopefully he'll kick on from this and try and do a wee bit more, because we're relying on Kenny, and Balikwisha and all these kind of guys to get you goals. It's like I remember we used to be frustrated as hell with Ryan Christie taking pot shots from everywhere back under Lennon. But at the minute, I would give Tenetke free rein. Just get the ball to him and Negrin and fill your boots, lads. Think the amount of Mrs. Dyson's had as well. This season. So, fair play to him.
All right, so that was the game. There's some stats for you if you're interested in that. Possession was remarkably equal, 48-52 apparently. 15 shots by Celtic to 1 by them. 5 on target to 1. 11 corners to 1. Make of all that what you will. The player ratings are absolutely horrific. Look, starting at James Forrest, 4.56. And Tenecti, 4.13. Down to Balikwisha's sub 3. Makes for pretty grim reading, but it's just one of those games we're going to put behind us and move on with our lives, isn't it? I mean,
how did Hearts get in the next round?
Well, Hearts lost.
Hearts got put out.
Oh, that's your joke. That's your joke.
It's all about being in the hat. Did anyone feel a bit cringy whenever Lennon called Martin Gaffer and referred to him as Gaffer several times? I thought that was so cringy.
Well, we're coming up to that, as you know, from the what do you call it, run sheet. But let's talk about Hearts for a minute, because they got a couple of injuries, didn't they? Did we get some crumbs of comfort from that, Stephen? How bad are those injuries?
Well, I think they're going to be missing Cammy Devlin, and he was missing yesterday as well. So I think he's going to miss a few weeks. And by all accounts, Shankland, who's one of their main 2 strikers, got injured. So he's going to be missing that. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But to be honest, I think that's probably going to be more benefit to Rangers than it is to us. So I just don't think we're not as things stand just now. I don't think we're even in the title race at the moment. We need to do some serious business before the end of the transfer window to be considered part of the title race. So I wouldn't be worrying. I wouldn't be thinking at all about any injuries Hearts have got. I'm pretty sure Hearts have got a squad there. And they'll get, I know they've got Braga, who's their main striker up front, and so Shankland's probably not as important to them as
used to be,
maybe was last year. So I don't think they'll be too worried about those guys being injured. And as I say, probably I think it'd be more benefit to Rangers than us.
Well, conflicting reports there in the live chat about Shankland, 1888, saying he's fine. All right, so we're going to move it on, and we're going to talk about the transfer window and various other stuff, and also like a little bit of stuff about what happened just after the game there, post-match interviews and the like. But before we do, we're going to introduce a little new thing. Very excitingly, Celtic World has a sponsor. Hooray! It's going to help us cover the costs. Now, it's not some random NordVPN or G4 claims or Sean the van hire man around the Glasgow area or something. It's a bit closer to home, but so see if you can spot any connections with the Celtic World in this.
Every life is full of stories, and we all know someone whose story should be preserved. That's what an audio memoir is, a record of you or your loved one's life stories, family anecdotes, and poignant memories. We will talk online and then edit the recordings into episodes, accompanied by family photos and contemporaneous images of the past, creating an enduring audio-visual experience. Links can be shared with friends and family, both near and far, who will delight in hearing their loved ones' priceless stories in their very own voice. For the participant, this can be a touching, nostalgic reflection. For friends and family, a unique and precious gift in the present, and even more so in the future, where their voice, their laughter, their love can always be there. We all know someone who deserves an audio memoir.
There you go, audio memoir. Support the show by supporting our sponsor. If you get in touch, you can use the discount code word Celtic and you'll get 10% off. So if anyone, you don't have to do it, obviously. That's not a direct message to our viewers, but if you happen to hear someone talking about how life is short or how old Uncle Jimmy's getting on and, he's a great storyteller and all the rest of it, preserve those things. Nothing lasts forever. Audio memoir. Enough of that. All right, let's move it on. Let's move it on. Brian, you wanted to talk about this. This is Lenny laughing his head off at Martin O'Neill's hilarious quip.
Yeah, we're going to
you wanted to talk about him calling him Gaffer. You thought that was a bit cringy. We'll come back to this in another thing, but tell us why.
It's like meeting your old school teacher in the supermarket, and then calling them sir. It was a bit like, all right, Gaffer, or, but calling them Gaffer instead of going,
Martin,
or I don't know. I just thought it was a bit cheesy, and took me back to old bosses I've had over the years. And you see in the street, you go, all right, wanker. You wouldn't be going up, all right, Gaffer. But look, that Martin obviously said at the end, we might get players in by the end of the season. And I'd fair play to him. That's what I'd be doing an Oliver Glasner. If I was Martin, I'd be going, get fucking players in here now. End off. You saw Glasner coming out. He's obviously not staying with Palace, and he says, well, is it football or is it business we're interested in here? And I hope to God that gets somebody in for Martin, because it's a real dereliction of duty if they don't for him as a 73-year-old man, and he can only do the wee funny one-liners for so long, and you can feel the man's pain.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about as well. I saw this post from friend of the show, Callum McFadden. Martin O'Neill was in fine form at the post-match press conference this evening. Every time he says young man, he reminds me of the great Brian Clough. Such a great sense of humour. Now, I flagged this, in his first stint, the sort of his quips and the responses to them and all. It's all a wee bit. Makes me feel slightly uneasy. And I replied to him to say, runs the risk of being seen to be flippant at a bad time. Fans might soon tire of his funny grandash shtick, especially if the window concludes badly and the season slips away from us. Now, I'm as big a fan of Martin O'Neill as anyone, but, what do you think about that, Stephen? That response?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's wearing a bit thin. The sort of doty old uncle routine that he's playing there, and I don't know what he's playing at, to be honest with you. I don't know if he just doesn't quite understand the depth of feeling among the fans just now, and the anger among the fans. I do feel for him, but just the same way as I felt for Brendan Rodgers. So Brendan Rodgers went through the whole thing about saying all this stuff as well, and he tried everything. It ultimately ended up, as Martin O'Neill pretty much is now, he ended up more or less begging for players. You can try and shame these people, you can try and embarrass them, you can try praise them, you can lie for them, but ultimately they will hang you out to dry, and they did with Brendan Rodgers, and they will with Martin O'Neill as well. Let's be clear about that. They'll use him as a shield as much as they can. But for me, if we get to the end of the transfer window, as I expect us to, without any major signings being made, then if Martin O'Neill is as much of a Celtic man as he says, then he would walk away and just say, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to run cover for you guys anymore. And he'd just pack up his things and away back to talk sport. And that's what I would hope that he does, because I love Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill represented the first time in over a decade where Celtic began to dominate Rangers in the game. And I think the success that we've had in the last 25 years, basically a lot of it was down to him and the belief that he gave us that we were the top team in Scotland. And I don't want to see his reputation trashed. And I think that's what you can see happening now, because this is all going to go to shit pretty quickly. You can smell it in the air. The squad is in a bad place. but we badly need reinforcements, and it really smells like the COVID season now, where things just went from bad to worse after Christmas. Ultimately ended up Neil Lennon losing his job around about February. But look, he needs to get real, O'Neill. Nobody's buying this comedy routine anymore. Well, at least I'm not, and I don't think many other people are as well. So it's a terrible state of affairs, and entirely self-inflicted by the clowns who are supposed to be running the club.
Yeah, there's some interesting comments in the live chat. Pegleg saying he thinks Martin's trying to diffuse the tension, knows things are bad. Yeah, I mean, what would you rather, he said, Stephen, instead of the routine?
I don't know. I mean, I think I think you should just say what Brendan said. Just say, like, we know we need players. I mean, Brendan made that comment about Honda Civics and Ferraris, and got basically hounded for it. Essentially, that's what Martin O'Neill
Is the Australian internet
was saying here.
Brian, do you want to give it a shot? What would you rather hear Martin saying?
Well, anything compared to what Wilfred Nancy was saying, and I think the media has given Martin a slightly easier ride than maybe others in the past. But ultimately, I would rather him come out with all this kind of crap, and it's a poison chalice. He has to try and get a tune out of the players. He knows the players aren't particularly good. I think it was very telling when he says, "Well, I wanted to have a look at a few of the players today," and I can't remember what the comment was, but he says, "I didn't really learn too much," which was, I don't know. Does he come in? Would he have come in after the game and read the Rad Act to them, or would he just been quiet and, "Thank you guys, you've helped me make a decision there"? The likes of these squad players. I don't know what Martin does now, but it's just need players in the end off, and Martin is steadying the ship, and Fozzie's there doing the motivation bit. But ultimately, if the players are that bad, we can't expect miracles. But it's game by game.
Obviously, he's doing a great job, and no one's attacking Martin O'Neill. But it's just the way he's managing. He responds to questions, and this whole comedy routine thing that he does. It's fine for the moment, but like I said in the comment there, if we come out of this window with fuck all and the season slips away from us, it's only a matter of time before people aren't happy with it.
Martin's an intelligent man. Martin's an intelligent man, and he's playing this role to try and diffuse a bit of the tension, diffuse a hell of a lot of attention, So, yeah, doing the daughtery old granda or whatever. If it protects the players, if it shields them, then so be it. But
all right.
So
better move it on. There's some people in the live chat seem to be misunderstanding the conversation. Go ahead.
So if we lose at Hearts next week, we're essentially out of the title race. I think that's probably fair. I don't know if any of you disagree with that, but anybody in the comments wants to disagree with that, then that's fine. And then after that, then we'll see, if Martin O'Neill is in front of the cameras making wee jokes and wee laughs about it, and see how that goes down with the fans. Because if we're then looking at a situation where we've got 3-4 months of the season left without a realistic chance of winning a league, and all down to a failure in recruitment. It's all down to a failure to back Brendan Rodgers in the summer, and now a failure to back Martin O'Neill in the winter. So I'm not annoyed with Martin O'Neill. I love Martin O'Neill, but he's going about this the wrong way. He needs to be a lot firmer. He needs to put a more serious demeanour on in these interviews and press conferences, and he needs to get across to us that he understands the seriousness of this situation. He's saying all the right words. You know, he's saying it's desperate. We desperately need players. But he's, you know, laughing and joking and having a crack about this, and I'm so old and blah, blah, blah. It's not washing with me.
All right, we better move the conversation on because we're talking about the tone rather than his performance as manager, but it seems to be getting lost a little bit if the comments round to go by. All right, moving on. Rangers making signings while Celtic are announcing Araujo's favourite colour is green, Brian.
Brutal.
We're inquiring, preparing and seeking deals. This is not a good look when other teams at the top end of the table are signing players and seemingly, well, I know they big up all their players, but they're particularly excited about at least one of them. And we've got nothing to be excited about apart from the fact that the player we've got in on loan, his favourite colour is green.
Yeah.
That's not a good juxtaposition, is it?
I'm not into all that, you know, the wee Jerry McCulloch interview quips, potato crisps or something, that, you know what I mean? I hate that. I just don't, maybe that's just the younger generation, but yeah. So, did anyone notice Cal's wearing green boots now? No. On a side note, I just noticed that yesterday. He must have changed his boots. But no, favourite colour is green. I couldn't care what your favourite colour is, whatever. Just do it on the pitch. Do your talking on the pitch. Why wasn't he not on the squad yesterday? Was he injured or?
Well, just keeping him fresh, I suppose.
Keeping him
for
fresh.
the games coming up.
Yeah, but it's embarrassing for the club when you look at what's happening over at Rangers and they're getting their business done and concluded and players paraded and good players at that. Certainly one good player at least. And then you've got the Rangers manager basically laughing at us in a press conference, saying about how they're doing it and they're not just talking about it. The inference probably being that we're just talking about signing players. And so it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for everyone in the Celtic board and particularly Dermot Desmond should be embarrassed. Whether they are or not, I'm not sure, but they should be embarrassed.
And this story about Leeds...
I mean, why
Leeds
even
United
bother?
going to Leeds to make an inquiry about getting a player on loan. I mean, that must be a joke. No?
You think if you're Leeds and Michael Nichols is on the phone, dead on. You know, why even entertain it? It's like that guy Jocelyn Tabai or whatever, the guy that Sunderland bought. Why even entertain something like that? That should never be on our radar. It's like all you know, but your man Kevin Muscat, will he be a good manager? No, he wouldn't be. He's an ex-Rangers player. Don't want him about the club. You know, regardless of how good he is. You know, and who's the rabbit out of the hat now? You know, we're always sitting. You know, the Robbie Keane. There is no rabbit, and unfortunately, there is no hat either. And I think the best we can do in the window is getting the likes of Lewis Palma back and a couple others. And there you go, lads. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're making it easy for the Huns. We're making it easy for them. And we all know what the problem is.
We do. We all know what the problem is. And in case there's any new people in watching the live and in the chat, and you want to know whether we think the ultimate problem is the board or Martin O'Neill or whatever, this video should clarify that for you.
instead of this settling for mediocre, imagine what we could be.
Right, so hopefully that clears things up for you. Let's talk about some transfer speculation. Don't know if you've seen this. Celtic are monitoring German defender Jamie Lawrence, 23, 6'7" centre back in the Austrian Bundesliga Team of the Year last season. But you know, as soon as you hear that other big clubs are in for him.
One of the best quotes that I've heard this week is Celtic do more monitoring than the CIA.
There you go. Smell the glove, enjoying the monitoring. And then there's this other one. Celtic link with Danish striker Jonas Wind. Or I don't know how it's pronounced, but Lyon also keen, which makes you think, oh, forget that then. Nothing but a lot of monitoring going on. Yeah, even Mahesh saying Lawrence is insane, a defensive monster. Would be surprised if he comes to Celtic. We just don't sign good players anymore because he'll go elsewhere. Stephen?
The word on the street says that we have been close to a couple of signings over the last week or two. And it's the mustachioed insane billionaire who's just putting the blockers on anything. He's just refusing to approve any of the deals, and it's all falling down. It gets to his door. And I just can't understand what the end game is here. You know, I just can't understand what the play is. You know, if you're Dermot Desmond, you're trying to prove to the fans that you know more than they do. So it appears that he's deliberately tanking the season, and I just can't get my head around it. I don't know why, but this and you know the evidence is there for everyone to see. We're not getting any deals done. The transfer window's ticking ever closer to the end, and we follow the same pattern all the time. We're linked with the player. We wait a few days. We're monitoring. We're following him. We're reaching out. Sometimes we even make a bid, but we do nothing beyond that. And he ends up signing for someone else. It's already happened with a couple of players this window. And all these guys you're talking about there, I expect the same thing to happen to them as well. And I just don't know. I don't know what the end game is for the current board. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense. My opinion is that being a billionaire means that you're inherently mentally ill to start with, right? Because if you've got all that money, more money than you can ever spend in your lifetime, and yet you still spend your time trying to amass even more, you know, I believe that's a mental illness, right? So maybe trying to expect sanity from the likes of Dermot Desmond is a bridge too far. But you know, this is a bad place we're in, and it's only going in one direction. And we really could be looking at a spell in the wilderness unless something happens really quickly and something really big at that. Because it looks as if, even sitting here now, it seems as if it's too late to be signing players to get them into the team for Tynecastle. And I fully expect to lose that game. And where that leaves us, we've spoke about already. We're halfway out the title race already. So it's all right saying keep your powder dry till the window shuts. By the time the window shuts, it can be all over by the shouting.
I mean, that's a level of faith, hope and charity from Brown Warrior there that can't be shared by many people anymore.
Didn't Martin
same old story.
Didn't Martin say he'd been offered a few players, but he said no? Or am I whistling Dixie once again? I think he said there was a few things.
He did. That was early in the window. I think,
early in the window,
all sorts of things flying in front of him. But if they're not going to improve us, then he's right to be swatting them away. They're probably leftovers from the Tisdale regime and things like that. What about
this? The guy from Motherwell? Is there any movement in that, do you think? Or
well, he tried to pour cold water on that, didn't he? The fact that him and Fozzie were at the game. So hopefully that's him playing 3D chess and not being straight. because he would improve us.
Motherwell have got no reason to sell him at the moment unless we offer them really big money, and there's the problem there straight away.
Yeah.
And one of the deals that, I mean, I'm only going by internet, message board rumours. Is one of the deals that Desmond put the snookers on was Kieran Bowie from Hibs, and he's another one that would improve our team.
Yeah, definitely.
And that Motherwell would definitely improve our team as well. But you're probably talking about now, he's probably worth a couple of million, the guy, but we're going to have to pay probably north of 4 million to get him from Motherwell because they don't need to sell. He's under contract, and we just don't seem to be prepared to spend money like that at all. We seem to be looking in the £2 million bracket for some strange reason. And I don't see us paying big money for the Motherwell boy, or for Bowie, or for anyone else for that matter.
Well, it'll all be in the last week or days, says Mahesh. That's the way the market works, unless you throw money at it. Yeah. All right. Spend some money then, you bastards. Get some players in like other teams are doing. It's depressing. Yeah. All right. So where are we at now with the show? Let me just check notes. We're coming up to the hour, so oh yeah, we've run through most of those. Shall we end it with something a little bit lighthearted, Brian? One of your favourite features?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Dingbats.
Dingbats or Celtic catchphrase. Even look, Stephen, if we can't pretend to enjoy this, what's it like for the viewers?
Yeah. Make it
taking
quick.
your earplugs out.
Because I have a point
this is my bedtime. This is my wife shooting me. Actually, I think I might have to. I think my dinner's ready.
All right.
Make it quick.
Right, well, this has a food and drink theme. No, it's not a song, Anton Rogan's Left Foot. It's a Celtic catchphrase. Okay, player, past or present. Tell me who this is. If you know it in the chat, please submit your answer or guesses. Humorous guesses will always go down well. Celtic player, past or present. Yes, I'm being more lighthearted than Martin O'Neill, but we're not talking about transfers, and it's not my job.
So that's Aaron Hathaway, isn't it? Something on.
It is, yeah.
Something on something T. Aaron Trusty. Yeah. Aaron Trusty.
Well, everybody knows it's Anne and T. Well, Toast Ange, Trash T. What's that, trash? Do you not know whose mouth that is?
Oh, right, that's not the moustache. It's
Danny Glover. It's not Danny Glover, is it?
No, it's not Danny Glover. Who is it? Comedian?
Murphy.
Eddie Murphy?
No, the guy who was slapped.
Oh, Chris
on
Rock.
Stage. Yeah.
Rocky.
Nav Rock.
Ryan Christie. Ryan Christie. Ray Bread on Christie. Right. I need to go to
Christie.
Ryan Christie.
Oh, God.
Me.
Well done, Brian.
And on that bombshell.
Well done, Brian. Well, look, we've got to do something to distract us from the horror show.
Can we get back to talking about the transfer window? That would be better.
Would you prefer that? All right. So, when's the next game coming up? It's midweek.
I have to shoot a crow, Gav.
It's Bologna.
I have to
All
go,
right.
I'm sorry.
See you later. We'll wrap it up without you. Cheerio, Bri. Okay. Yes, it's midweek and it's Bologna. Right? And then the Hearts game is at the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Thursday night.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Hearts game's next Sunday.
Hesh thinks we should get Christie on loan. Don't think he's starting for Bournemouth.
Nah, he's not coming back.
Everyone's enjoying that, though.
Yeah, I think
look at all the feedback, Stephen. Pure piss. Fuck's sake.
My sentiments exactly.
Transfer window is funnier.
That's what I said.
And G-Doc just said, no, don't want any more of this
No.
nonsense. Yeah, these two games.
Yeah,
the situation could be no laughing matter very soon, you know.
Yeah, we lose it. We'll reconvene next Monday at the same time, and if we've lost both games, I think you'll find there'll be a different demeanour amongst everybody in the chat, and I think Martin O'Neill will not be laughing and joking in the post-match press conference at Tynecastle if we're 9 points behind Hearts at that point and still haven't signed a striker a year after losing Kyogo. So it's a joke, and all we can do is try and agitate for change. Maybe another time we can chat about the initiatives by Celtic Supporters Limited with Duncan Smiley and David Lowe, and maybe have a chat maybe next week about how how we feel about that sort of initiative against what the collective are doing. Who knows what the next step is going to be from the collective. There's talk about boycotting the Scottish Cup tie against Dundee. I think that will gain more traction as the weeks go on, because I think that's a game that's one where you have to go and buy a ticket for it. So I think a lot of people would already be of a mind not to bother their arse. And if they're given a bit of encouragement there, that could be the one. But I don't see this getting any better. Certainly not in the short term. And I think this is going to be a grim season.
Well, there's still some positivity out there. Will McMillan saying, what if it's a win at Tynecastle? G-Doc saying, we won't lose both games, Stephen. 4 points we'll get from those two games.
Yeah, everyone's saying,
Mark Duffy saying that not too sure about Europe, but we'll beat Hearts for sure. I mean, I like the confidence.
I'm not sure. I don't know how you can be sure we'll beat Hearts. They've already beaten us twice this season. And I don't know how you can possibly be sure when we're going into that game, quite probably with Johnny Kenny up front or Daizen Maeda up front. Guys like, I don't know what sort of team he's going to pick, but you're probably going to be looking at Taneki starting the game, and Yang on the other side. So I'm not sure where the confidence is coming from. I admire it, and nobody be happier than me if we win both these games. And it is true to say if we were to manage a win against Hearts and Tynecastle, everything looks a lot better.
Let's hope.
We can only hope that Martin manages to work his magic and gets a performance out of them.
That's Martin O'Neill, who we both very much love.
Love him.
Okay.
I'll show you something. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
This is a thing that sits in my desk. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, wobbly head, Martin O'Neill.
It's a Martin O'Neill bubblehead, and he sits and looks at me all day at work, and he tells me when I'm not doing things right. So, yeah, I love Martin O'Neill. He's a hero of mine. I loved him when he was manager at Celtic, and I will always love him. But he needs to stop with the stupid jokes. Sorry.
Let's just hope he can work his magic on the next two games. Anyway, we'll be back on Thursday.
Yep.
And until then, keep the faith, everyone, if you can. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, folks.